They should be terrified of you.
You do not hesitate.
With E3 2018 well underway, we go back and take a look at the highlights of all the major conferences. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Sony press conference. Sony's conference was a bit of a mixed bag, to say the least. Whilst what they showed was actually good, the format of the conference itself was disjointed and, well, confusing. But regardless of how good or bad the actual conference was itself, we did come away with some very interesting highlights. The first game to stand out for me personally was Control, which looks to be a new IP, a third-person game where the main character was able to utilise the environment to assault her enemies. Whilst only vague information was given about the game, the trailer did spark interest, and with a release of 2019, this is one I may have to keep my eye on. Next was Nioh 2. Now this was only a short teaser shown, very short to be fair. Nonetheless, this was pretty much an announcement that they are working on the game. I do worry though that the industry will become oversaturated with games set in feudal Japan, but we'll have to wait and see. The next highlight for me was Spider-Man, showing off a trailer, combat gameplay, and an in-depth look during the panel section of the conference. Sony was able to show off a lot of information about this upcoming game, and in all honesty, it looks really good. The web swinging and combat all looks smooth and cinematic, and it really does look like it's going to make you feel like Spider-Man. On top of that, they showed off various classic Spider-Man villains that will be playing a part in the story, and the whole thing was just action-packed and a treat to the eyes. Unfortunately though, they didn't really give us any specific release date for the game, so again this is one we're just going to have to monitor for now. Next was The Last of Us 2. Sony kicked off the show with this game via a live banjo solo. The artist played the theme of The Last of Us before it went into a trailer. The trailer showed off an older Ellie in what looked like a secure location. Here, during a barn dance, we got to see Ellie's intimate relationship at this point in time. However, the trailer then turned a little bit darker as we got to see Ellie in action. During a stealth gameplay section, we got to experience what the game is going to be like to play. Utilising stealth elements, we only got to see human enemies. Nonetheless, playing as Ellie, you got to sneak around, fighting for your life and contending with the enemy AI, which seems to have been improved upon. The enemies seem to actually actively look for you now, looking under cars and such, which is certainly going to lead to tense moments. Of course, being Naughty Dog and all the lessons they've learned from the first Last of Us, as well as all of the Uncharted games, all the actions that Ellie performs, including hand-to-hand combat to traversal of the environment, is cinematic. This all adds up to a very pretty looking game. Alas though, there was no release date, so again this is one we're going to have to just keep our eyes on. Was the Resident Evil 2 remake. I was extremely pleased to hear this at last. This has been a game that if you grew up in the 90s, you've wanted to go back and revisit with modern gameplay mechanics. And Capcom have finally given us what we asked for in the form of the Resident Evil 2 remake. Whilst they only gave us a trailer and no real actual gameplay, this kicked the hype train up a gear. And when they announced that it will be released on January 25th, 2019, I cannot wait until this rolls around. The next highlight was Death Stranding. Sony and Kojima gave us a trailer as well as what looked like gameplay. It showed Norman Reedus' character up against invisible threats, as well as introducing some of the other cast members. There definitely seemed to be elements of stealth as well, which given Kojima's association to Metal Gear, I can understand why, but the whole thing looks gorgeous. And whilst the storytelling and actually what the hell is going on could be quite confusing, I found it nonetheless fascinating and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Unfortunately though, again there is no release date for this, so we're just going to have to watch this space. But for me personally, the biggest highlight was Ghost of Tsushima. This game started off with a live performance that moved onto the trailer. And the trailer, damn it was pretty. It showed off exploration aspects, some combat, stealth elements, as well as what looks like our main character Jin. That being said, there was no HUD or indication of players' health or anything like that, so I can imagine this was scripted gameplay. However, I personally found this fascinating thanks to the actual cinematography used in the shots during cutscenes and combat. It is clear that they have taken influences from Japanese cinema and from directors like Akira Kurosawa in the making of this game. Unfortunately though, again, there's no release date, so at the moment this is just a blip on the horizon. So that was about it for the Sony highlights. Unfortunately, I was disappointed to see no Concrete Genie or the Spyro Reignited trilogy shown, which was a shame, because I feel they did definitely have time to show off during the actual conference. They could have cut down on the panel sections, for example, which may have worked out better. Nonetheless, the few games that they did show that made it onto the highlight list I feel were some of the best of this entire E3. It's just a shame that the conference overall was a little bit disjointed. But anyway, what were your highlights and thoughts on the Sony conference? Leave a comment down below, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you the highlights of the Sony conference from E3 2018. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.